online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show. We got Jason Mears in the house. He's our insurance expert contributor, all things property casualty insurance. Florida Best Quote Insurance is his company. Quick shout out to our friends at Replenish IV Solutions, replenishivsolutions.com. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you when you go in and get hooked up with these vitamin infusion drips. Great time of year to do it. You know, there's a little bit of a bugs going around this time of year. They call it the flu season. I call it just a time of year when it's colder, it's darker early, you got a lot of extra stresses. So go ahead and get juiced up over there at replenishivsolutions.com. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. All right, a couple of hot listings here. We always like to feature our real estate listings live on air, and the property that I wanted to mention was 6136 41st Street East, 6136 41st Street East. This is Bradenton, Barrington Ridge home with over 2,400 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. You have a bonus room as well as a 3-car garage. Beautiful pool as well, and you're backed up to a conservation area. Pool with a spa, and a great home here. I love the backsplash in the kitchen there. Beautiful property. Here in Tampa Bay. Another one of our listings is going to be this property at 100 Bluffview Drive. We've got 2 units in this building actually over at 100 Bluffview Drive. Number 409C is one that we have, 1-bedroom, 2-bath. Stunning waterfront views, open floor plan, white cabinetry, beautiful granite countertop, stainless steel appliances. 100 Bluffview Drive, unit 409C is our 1-bedroom property condo. And then we also have our 606, which is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So we've got 2 units, same building, 100 Bluffview Drive, 606C Bel Air. That one's 1,440 square feet. Christine white cabinets, appliances, space for bar stool seating. And the amenities on this building are beautiful. Your waterfront on the beautiful intercoastal waterways there. And you also have a heated pool, shuffleboard, barbecue grill, and picnic tables. And unit 606C has washer and dryer in unit. You can see all of our listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Check out PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Florida Best Quote in the house. Jason Mears, welcome back in.
It's always a pleasure to come in, man.
Yeah,
I enjoy
man.
it.
Good to have you. And I know you do a lot with Keller Williams and other companies, just going around and just kind of going to the different meetups, the regional meetings, and I bet it's great marketing going, or networking, going out there and meeting up with some of the folks.
Yeah, that's it's always kind of been our business model. Florida Best Quote's been around, I guess, for about 15 years now, and we currently have, I think, 7 insurance agents that are actually in real estate markets.
Nice.
It's just kind of been our thing. Market centers, yeah.
Yep.
And so, just my role as the VP of Strategic Growth is to kind of do a lot of the sponsoring of events, go in, teach classes to different market centers, which I've been doing a lot of. Got to speak to about 350 realtors at a South Florida regional event last week. So that's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. Love teaching, love educating realtors and educating the consumers on what's going on in insurance and how they can hopefully save some money.
LSU's coming to town, aren't they?
They are, man, and I'm going to be in Louisiana while they're here playing the ball game.
Okay.
I'll be there for the holidays, so I'll watch the game, but I won't be here in town. So.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
They play here a lot. They like to they bring them to Orlando a lot.
Yeah.
So there's a big fan base here in Florida, which is kind of wild. So.
Yeah. It's Southeast football, man.
Yeah.
So let's talk insurance here. So what do you see? How long do you think it's going to take this insurance market to turn around?
Well, I think there's. I was at an event a while back, and I heard one of our former state senators make a comment that I thought was really, really good. He says, for it to turn around, 2 main things have to happen. You've got to have more companies come in from out of state, more insurance companies,
more competition.
Yes, and the companies that are in the state of Florida have to start making money again because they were bleeding money over the last several years. They were losing over $1 billion every year in the home insurance industry for the last 3 or 4 years. So the first part of that is coming true. We are seeing companies coming in. We just had a couple more here recently. I think that we've got a total of around 5 so far this past year or this year. The other part is a little bit hazy as far as are the companies that are here now starting to make money again. I wouldn't say they're making money, but we are seeing them make changes, like okay, we're going to start writing in these zip codes, which we had closed 2 or 3 years ago, or we're going to, a company like Olympus that I really used to like to write a lot with, they're easing some of their guidelines on how old of a home they'll take and how old of a roof they'll take. And so that's the other part of it that we're seeing that I think is a positive. But as far as a time frame, it honestly depends on who you talk to. If you talk to some of the home insurance companies, they'll say 2024, 2025. But at that meeting, you talk to one of the former senators, they're saying 2025, 2026, to where there'll be a real stabilization of the market, because right now it's kind of unstable.
Cautiously optimistic, it seems.
Yeah, I think they just don't want to have, you've always got those people that don't want to get too optimistic just in case it's not as quick as you would hope for it to be. But I would say another year to 2 years is a good estimate, though, to where we would see some stabilization with rates. Yeah.
Now, when you dive deeper into the real estate market, there's different property types. So there's a lot going on in the condo world right now. What do you see as far as impacts in home versus condo?
Well, I think there are differences for sure. There are similarities. The coverage differences is, of course, the main thing. When you have a condo, you're really only responsible for the inside walls in. So you're not covering the entire structure. The association covers the outside. But I think the big thing with the condo market is, of course, what happened in Miami with the condo that collapsed. And the legislature made a pretty quick decision to make some guidelines a little stricter, and which I feel like they had to, and they did it quickly. I think people were calling for reform, but then they had to turn around a while later and make a lot of changes to that, because there were a lot of problems that were being caused, and there's still problems being caused with the legislation. But I think the main thing from a consumer standpoint that concerns me is the impact that it's having on a lot of the association fees, that the impact on the condo insurance policies that the clients are paying for. I don't see a massive impact in that. They're increasing just like the home insurance market is. But where we're seeing it is in some of those fees and the reserves and the association fees increasing, in some cases doubling, and maybe even more than that. And so I'm concerned about those people that are on more of a fixed income, and how do they do that if their association fees go up from $500 to $1,200 a month? That sort of thing.
All it takes is one special assessment to throw it all out of whack for them. Their budgets, their debt ratios, especially with fixed income, older citizens, people that maybe who knows, maybe veterans. If they're in a condo, then you have these associations that are also depending on the year. There's a specific year that was kind of targeted, like, hey, before this year it needs to be improved X amount, or added these special, improvements, or as far as infrastructure, basically where they're making the building more solid. So there was some stuff going on. There's a lot going on in the condo space.
Yeah, there is, and they're doing these. I'm trying to think of the name of it. These inspections that they're calling. If you're 30 years or older. You've got to get it in 30 years, 3 stories or higher. If you're in the state of Florida, then you're going to get an inspection.
Right.
This is where it gets a little murky, because they're calling for those inspections to be done statewide by the end of 2024. There's not enough engineers in the state of Florida to get all of those done by the end of 2024. So they did make some changes as far as they're allowing an engineer or an architect to hire inspection companies underneath them, where the inspection companies are doing the inspections, but they're being overseen by an architect or an engineer. So that causes its own issues as well. So, but it's all about trying to determine if some of these older condo buildings have the structural integrity to continue the way that they are, or are there some major repairs? And that's the problem. If you're in a condo, what happens if, oh my gosh, we found this, and this, and there are millions of dollars of repairs that have to be made?
Yeah.
Who's paying for that?
Right.
And that's where it goes back into those assessments and those fees for the people that live there. The biggest concern is those fixed income, 55 and older communities, things like that. I really feel like the legislature is going to have to make some additional changes, because they are not going to I don't believe they're going to let the 55 and older community just get impacted the way this potentially could impact them over the next year or two.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough situation. We're talking with Jason Mears, Florida Best Quote insurance company here in Tampa Bay. We always talk about as well serving the local economy, supporting the local economy here on the show by supporting our local area business owners, expert contributors, salesmen and women that come on the show. They take time out of their busy schedules to come in and educate us on different issues and things happening in the marketplace. So I'd greatly appreciate it if you'd reach out to the show and support our show partners and our expert contributors. You can call the hotline at 727-263-3707. Any questions, any comments, we'd love to hear those, and it really makes our day when we get the feedback from you. 727-263-3707. Call or text the hotline there. And you can also follow the show at CQB Show on Instagram, at Brandon Rhymes 1 as well. And YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Really helps us from getting censored, which happens sometimes on these types of platforms. So, Jason, wanted to talk also about, over the weekend, this past week or so, it's kind of an untimely storm that came. It was an interesting high winds, and I was looking at the news in Pinellas County had a couple of these sand dunes that got washed out. It was one that just got recently planted, and the storm was there and washed out a bunch of, I forgot how many truckloads of sand they brought in from Polk County. They brought in a bunch of sand from Polk County, and then now it's just freshly gone. So, those types of things, untimely. Who would have thought a winter storm in December, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're past hurricane season. That ended at the end of November, and so everybody's kind of taking this big sigh of relief. Oh, we're good, no problems. And then all of a sudden you have this storm pop up out of nowhere. Yeah. The flooding is definitely the issue. The scary part of it is, the flood insurance market or the National Flood Insurance Program made a lot of changes back at the end of 2021 that's impacting people now. We saw in 2020, 2021, the flood zones change. Pinellas, Hillsborough, Pasco updated their flood zones, and that helped some people and it hurt some people, right? You had some people closer to the coast, their flood zones became a higher risk, and then some people inland, their flood zones became a lower risk, which impacts how much your flood insurance is going to be. But the big change, I think, is they make distance to the coast and the value of your home are bigger factors now. Okay. So because in the past, if you were in the same flood zone, somebody that's 10 miles inland is in the same flood zone as someone who's a quarter mile from the coast. If those houses cost the same and it's the same amount of coverage, you would have the same premiums. Mm-hmm. And it was deemed that that's really not fair. The people that are close to the coast need to be paying more. So they tiered it, yes. And so now, used to be elevation certificates were really important. Those are not as important as it used to be. It's about how close you're to the coast. Wow. And what's the replacement cost value of that home. So that $2 million replacement cost home is going to cost a lot more than that $250,000 home that might have all the same characteristics as far as distance from the coast and things like that. So those are the two big differences that they've made. But I think the biggest thing that I would say to consumers is just because you're in what's considered an X flood zone, which is considered a low risk, or it's low enough risk where a mortgage company is not going to make you get flood insurance, low risk does not mean no risk. The entire state of Florida is in a flood zone. You're just in a low enough risk where the mortgage company is not going to make you get it. But anywhere from 25 to 30%, depending on which stats you read, of all flood claims are in these low risk flood zones. We saw that with the hurricane that hit Fort Myers area. A lot of those homes that flooded out were in low-risk flood zones where it wasn't required.
Further inland?
Yes. Oh. And so that's why we really encourage people to consider getting flood insurance regardless of how close they are to the coast. Right. Because it doesn't mean you can't flood. Yeah. I've seen houses flood because in a storm they'll be in a cul-de-sac and you'll have a bunch of debris that will clog up those drains. Right. And the next thing you know, you've got water coming up all into that cul-de-sac. From a major rainstorm, major hurricane, and you're
Yeah.
flooding when you never thought I'd never flood.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And so a lot of the flood rates can be really inexpensive for a lot of those low risk flood zones. You could pay
Right.
$400, $500, $600 a year and just be covered and
Yeah.
not be in the situation a lot of people were in with the Fort Myers situation.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we got to take a quick break. More with Jason Mears coming up here. Florida Best Quote Insurance on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And I'm going to play a little clip here about some recent economic data that came out. So we're going to take a quick break. Follow us online, connect with us, and we would love to connect back with you as well at Brandon Rhymes 1, at CQB Show on Instagram, and, of course, Twitter, X now, YouTube.com, Brandon Rhymes Realty. We'll be right back. Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider who shares your values. They offer the very best nationwide coverage on 4G and 5G LTE networks and exceptional 100% US-based customer support. Patriot Mobile offers discounts for veterans and first responders, NRA members, and families with multiple lines. Learn more at patriotmobile.com/consumer QB. That's patriotmobile.com/consumer QB. Or if you'd like to give us a call, you can reach out at 727-263-3707. That's 727-263-3707. And we'd be happy to tell you more about Patriot Mobile. Selling commercial, vacant land, or residential properties? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. You can reach me at 727-263-3707. Call or text 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show. Quick shout out to Patriot Mobile. I love this company. They do a great job. It's America's only Christian conservative phone company out there. America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. Patriot Mobile, mobilizing freedom. We have a URL with them if you want to support patriotmobile.com, Consumer QB. It's /Consumer QB, patriotmobile.com. /Consumer QB as your promo code, and make sure you let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. All right, got a hot listing here for this segment. We'd like to feature our listings on air, and it's 6504 South Linda. This one's in South Tampa. We have a motivated seller here. It's got a large lot here as well. I'm being told you might be able to build a secondary unit on this property at 6504 South Linda Street in Tampa. This one is 1,900 square feet, South Tampa, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, over a quarter acre of land, updated kitchen and bath, motivated seller there at South Linda Street in Tampa Bay. We also have a property at 7202 U.S. Highway 301 South. This is a commercial building that's for sale. Corner lot location. You got two separate businesses and buildings. One is a mechanic shop at 7202 U.S. Highway 301 South in Riverview. You got a mechanic shop also, and then next door you have a barber shop that is on a corner lot location. 40 to 50,000 vehicles a day passing by, and beautiful property listing there, and commercial opportunity from the Platinum MVP team. You can see all of our listings, PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Check out PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
This is God's country.
All right, Jason Mears. So sinkholes, that's another topic in the area of insurance. Been kind of quiet on that front, as you mentioned. Maybe it's a little bit further north. Our northern listening audience, that is Pasco, Hernando.
Yeah,
up in that area.
Yeah, and it does feel that way a little bit, but people are still buying and having to consider whether they're going to buy a remediated sinkhole home.
Yeah.
And the market has changed over the last couple of years. We used to have several options that were competitive from a price standpoint. And as the market's changed over the last several years and companies have increased their rates and gotten stricter, unfortunately, you're kind of limited to Citizens. If you're going to pay a competitive price because everybody else is practically double or more. Wow. And Citizens, unfortunately, has some pretty strict guidelines. But I think people have to make the decision of whether they feel. If you talk to one person, they say, hey, if it's a remediated sinkhole, at least I know it's been fixed and nothing's ever going to happen to my house. Some people feel more comfortable with that than the person over here that's like, yeah, I don't want to ever even think about being in a neighborhood that's had anything like that before. So it really just boils down to preference. But there are options. We're just basically limited to one competitive option. Mm-hmm. Now, if you've got the money and want to pay for a more expensive policy to avoid Citizens, there are people that are doing that as well. So
yeah. So point, counterpoint. Yes, it's been remediated, but there may be other houses around me, and that might bring my value down.
Yes, and that's where the concern is for some people in those areas, especially north of us, that a lot of people just don't want to buy at all, especially if you've got one that's anywhere near that house that you're looking at.
I wanted to get to some economic data here. Here's a clip I found over the week.
Logical question then becomes, what could possibly justify such a large surge in spending? And is one thing make any rational sense? When an economy is in great shape, we don't need World War II. And I think this is important. When Biden's telling us we have a booming economy, record-setting GDP, and full employment. But it just doesn't make any rational sense. When an economy is in great shape, we don't need World War II levels of deficit spending. So the logical question then becomes, what could possibly justify such a large surge in spending? And it's one thing, it's the opinion polls. This is an outright attempt to purchase another term in office and to do it with our own money.
Yeah, so they're at all costs. Let's print. Let's try to make it look like. And you know what I noticed too in another, I try to kind of a nerdy in a sense where I listen to so much economic data, but a lot of these dollars being spent, it's government, it's big government, so it's more like in government bodies hiring more people, government spending, and jobs. So the jobs, it's like 25% of it is government jobs. So it's the bureaucracy getting bigger, GDP. I've heard kind of said GDP, gross domestic product. It's really gross domestic services in the state of, or not just state of Florida, but the United States. We're not really producing much like we used to. And then it was kind of sad to see U.S. Steel looking to get sold. I don't know if you caught that one, but U.S. Steel, they're considering selling it to a Japanese company.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Japanese company.
The whole thing is sad when you've got one side saying how great everything is,
right,
but then you've got people here in the state of Florida that are seeing, and I can speak from experience with my health insurance just jumped.
Yes.
You're paying more in health insurance, you're paying more in groceries,
yep,
you're paying more in food, you're paying more for all your insurance, whether it's home insurance, flood insurance, condo insurance, everything goes up and the inflation goes up. It's kind of interesting that you'll have a lot of people talking about how great everything is, right, when the middle class is out there going, really?
Yeah.
I feel like,
it's absolutely true. Absolutely true. And that's the people getting hurt the most, is, the blue collar workers. It's unfortunate. And then when you shift the gears to jobs, you want to talk about jobs being created. These are the same jobs that were just brought back, many of them. And then a lot of people are working 2 and 3 jobs, this gig economy now, driving for Uber and picking up people's groceries. It's not like it used to be. We're almost out of time. Give us your coordinates. Where can people find you?
Well, they can reach me by phone at 813-385-4441, or you can email me at jason@floridabestquote.com.
jason@floridabestquote.com. And also all of our expert contributors are on our website at consumerqb.com. You can see links there, previous show videos. By the way, check out the YouTube channel, 2,500 videos now on YouTube and Rumble. A lot of great legacy content out there. If you want to see Jason's previous episodes, you can definitely do that there as well. And we appreciate you spending some time with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we appreciate you supporting the local economy by supporting all of our expert contributors. Please go out there, make it a great day, and consider committing a random act of kindness. We'll see you next time. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.